Who are you?
A friend.
One thing I do know, son, and that is you are here for a reason.
Don't look, just fly. I ain't saying what it is. Just trust me.
Even in the darkest times, hope is the light that lifts us out of darkness.
Dreams save us. Dreams lift us up and transform us into something better. And on my soul, I swear that until my dream of a world where dignity, honor, and justice are the reality we all share, I'll never stop fighting. Ever.
Hey, buddy. Eyes up here.
I get scared, but that is being human. And that's my greatest strength.
I think instant gratification is something to be avoided. What is more important is to build lasting relationships and have patience with people, because there's a lot of love going around and you should just realize that it's there.
In times where division has become the norm, it brings me back to when psychologist Rick Snyder developed the hope theory. In this framework, he interpreted how hopeful people start by developing their goals, become ambitious enough to create multiple pathways, and have a sense of agency. The theory explains how believing in one's goals helps us to understand our limitations and expectations, making hopeful people much stronger than we may expect. And for someone like Superman, his goal is to make the world a better place. His pathway is to stop the people who commit any wrongdoings, and his sense of agency is addressing those obstacles and knowing that sometimes things don't simply work out. But beyond that, psychologist Martin Seligman, otherwise known as the father of positive psychology, has developed his own framework that takes us across the journey of not a bird, not a plane, but a Superman who commits to 5 simple phases. Phase 1. Positive emotions. When discussing positive emotions, many wonder what the spectrum may be, but the structure can refer to emotions based on the past, present, or future. In the past, some emotions include gratitude and forgiveness, and for the present, we wish to savor or be mindful. And finally, with the future, there's optimism and, as you might expect, hope. And interestingly enough, psychologist Jamil Zaki identifies several reasons as to why people tend to adopt cynical perspectives. For instance, one of the examples he mentioned was corruption by politicians. And whatever place you like to put yourself on the political aisle, you can argue that there are moments where we feel deprived of optimism. In the movie Superman vs. the Elite, Clark visibly sees the world he's trying to improve as relentlessly acting upon its worst temptations. But the elite wish to conflict with the very essence of human goodness. Zaki calls these kinds of people conflict entrepreneurs, who are meant to build destruction from the ground up and only thrive when other people mistrust one another. I mean, take Lex Luthor. He is the definitive conflict entrepreneur, especially as seen in James Gunn's Superman, where Lex creates a foreign conflict just to have an excuse to tear down Superman's legacy out of envy, which is a sign that he lacks an incredible amount of emotional flexibility. A character like Superman could have been different in multiple ways if he hadn't been around the positivity of Ma and Pa Kent. Their emotional bond speaks volumes, a connection that would have never happened if he hadn't left Krypton and hadn't been adopted by well-meaning farmers. Growing up in a smaller world with big and positive emotions can help you develop into a person of integrity. The Kents weren't rich, nor did they have selfish intentions, so teaching Clark those very positive emotions allowed him to lead by example.
The grace of mankind is everywhere. You just have to open your eyes. Humanity has a limitless potential for good.
And with that said, someone who can definitely lead by example is a fellow friend, comics fan, and content creator, Austin Gautreaux, who will discuss why Superman is a symbol we can all get behind.
First off, I would like to thank Yusuf of the Cognitive Script for allowing me to share my admiration of Superman, not only as a hero, but also for his humanity. To quote one of my favorite comics, Superman for All Seasons by Jeff Loeb and Tim Sale, "You may be able to do things nobody else can do, but that doesn't make it any less hard for you to be who you want to be." James Gunn's Superman takes heavy inspiration from various comics, previous film adaptations, and beloved graphic novels of the titular hero. Many fans, myself included, consider Grant Morrison and Frank Quitely's All-Star Superman the definitive Superman novel. A significant reason for such a claim is the comic's ability to capture the defining characteristics of Superman. For instance, in issue 10 of All-Star Superman, a girl named Reagan contemplates taking her life. Standing worryingly close to the edge of a tall building, Superman flies down behind her, places his hand on her shoulder, and reassures her that she's stronger than she thinks. Superman isn't confronting her, he's comforting her. Reagan's decision is partially influenced by feeling forgotten and worthless after her doctor doesn't show up for an appointment. However, Superman shows empathy by stating, "Trust me," implying that he has been in a similar situation. These words of encouragement reveal an often overlooked aspect of Superman, loneliness, even when surrounded by people, but especially those who love him. Despite this, Superman's hope encourages others like Reagan and even himself to continue fighting and persevering in times of hardship, which takes us to Phase 2, Engagement. As we continue in issue 10 of All-Star Superman, Superman visits a hospital with terminally ill children and takes them on a trip to see the Great Pyramids of Giza. When the nurse thanks Superman for cheering up the kids, she says, "Your visits are all some of them have to look forward to." Not only does this mean Superman has made recurring visits, but said visits also gave the children hope that the little time they have left will be spent to the fullest. By this point in the novel, Superman's overexposure to solar radiation has only given him at most a week left to live. Even when most people focus on themselves, Superman's dedication to saving and inspiring others always comes first. Even though Superman's life is fading, he focuses on how he can better the world in the present moment.
Seligman initially based the concept of engagement on Mahai Csikszentmihalyi's work on the flow state, this idea of being entirely consumed by the task or activity you are doing, which allows for life to feel more straightforward and more effective. And you can argue that Superman's flow state is when saving the people, or better yet, anything that's alive. The essence of doing good has always been the catalyst for his engagement. He's absorbed into that activity. In comic runs such as All-Star Superman, you can tell how much that even if he dies, at the very least he must do what he loves first before any of that becomes a reality. And that is to protect the people he loves. Superman's engagement can come in any scale, from saving cats in trees to stopping a greedy billionaire. The mission is always grounded in solid principles. Principles of integrity, solidarity, and consistency. And I think that argument can still stand when discussing Phase 3, Relationships. Psychologist Dr. Chan Hellman discusses the difference between wishful thinking and hopeful thinking. He suggests that when you engage in wishful thinking, we have a desire for an outcome that is an otherwise passive pursuit. On the other hand, hopeful thinking involves taking action to pursue a better future. Superman doesn't wish for anything to happen. Instead, he hopes that his kindness will be recognized and appreciated through his Boy Scout charm and optimistic worldview. A pursuit that longs to bring justice the right way, the only way, a way of service. As Hellman stated, well-being is more than the reduction of what's wrong with us. He continues by saying that hope is a social gift. It is not something that happens in isolation with us, but rather it happens in relationship with each other. Hellman also suggested that when undergoing trauma, we tend to set more avoidant goals. But when we experience hope, we tend to approach a more optimistic and long-term set of goals. Antagonists such as Lex Luthor often avoid confronting their past trauma and instead use their wealth to prioritize their interests. Still, Superman's unwavering belief in humanity drives his mission to never surrender. For instance, One of comics' most iconic relationships is Lois Lane and Clark Kent, being a defining duo across the characters' iterations. In Richard Donner's Superman, the interview between them stands true as a testament to utter respect and mutual appreciation. Lois is infatuated with Superman, and though he's well aware of this, he never takes advantage because this isn't part of his nature. He listens to her attentively, adjusts her chair so she doesn't have to, and responds with, dare I say, engagement.
I like pink very much, Lois.
A positive relationship is caring about every small thing that excites them, irritates them, and providing their everyday support.
Another example in that film is when Superman takes Lois for a flight after she interviews him for the Daily Planet. Initially, Lois clings to Superman, interlocking both her arms to his, and is even too petrified to open her eyes. However, as they continue to fly, Lois grows more and more comfortable with Superman, trusting that he would never let her fall. Even as they soar above the clouds, Lois continually loosens her grip on Superman's arm, moving from his forearm to his wrist, hand, and even just his fingers. Although Lois accidentally lets go, Superman swoops down and catches her. It's in this trust that a strong relationship between Lois and Clark is built. If hope is trusting in a future better than the present, then there is no better person to trust than the symbol of a better tomorrow. Phase 4. Meaning.
I'm not an idiot. I know there are bad men in power. It's not a perfect world, but we can't just throw morality in the garbage.
It's easy to think that Superman's strength is in his strength, his superpowers. And I think that is objectively true, that is what sets him apart in this way that makes him this character and not just, a normal person. He's not a human being, and he's not from this place that humanity is from, and he wants to belong here, but he doesn't share the vulnerabilities that bond us as humans. Without humanity, all the strength in the world is useless. The human heroes, the everyday heroes in our lives, are heroes because they come in and save the day. What did Mr. Rogers' mom always say?
Always look for the helpers, because if you look for the helpers, you'll know that there's hope.
The general message I receive when I think about meaning comes from the mission statement that you write for yourself. For someone like me, it's about chasing narrative since chapter 1, reminding others that you've always been true to yourself since day 1. Superman chooses when to fight, how to fight, and if it's worth causing that much damage. Seligman refers to meaning as belonging and serving something you think is bigger than you are. To Superman, his true sense of purpose is inspiring others and helping those in need.
Even in the darkest times, hope cuts through. Hope is the light that lifts us out of darkness.
In the final chapter of Kingdom Come, an enraged Superman crashes into the UN building after they launched a nuclear bomb that ended up killing Captain Marvel. The decision was made to combat a prison break of powerful metahumans, indicating that the UN believed the world will be better off without superpowered beings. On the brink of bringing the building down on everyone, he eventually quells his rage. He resists the urge to resort to violence and admits an assault against the UN would only hurt relations between humans and metahumans. Although Superman builds an identity and symbol of hope for others to aspire to, his ultimate goal is to listen to the people's needs and fight for the will of the people, ensuring a better future for both humans and metahumans. Superman sees himself as one amongst the people, believing that the problems we face still exist. We're not going to solve them for you, we're going to solve them with you. Not by ruling above you, but by living among you. Phase 5. Accomplishment. In Season 2 of Justice League Unlimited, Lex Luthor hijacks the energy weapon contained within the Watchtower, the Justice League's orbital base of operations, framing the Justice League for the ensuing attack. The resulting orbital laser strike fires directly at Cadmus headquarters, putting innocent people in harm's way. Although the Justice League did not fire the weapon, Superman acknowledges that the Justice League merely owning such a weapon is a danger to the people, thus deciding to disband the League in a public speech. Just before the original 7 members of the Justice League leave the stand, Green Arrow reminds everyone that the Justice League saved injured people from the attack and apprehended Lex Luthor in the end. The Watchtower's weapon was a threat, but the heroes of the Justice League were all the people needed. After Green Arrow says,
"The world needs the Justice League, and the Justice League needs you, Superman,"
the audience erupts into applause. In that moment, Superman realizes that the accomplishments and good deeds done by the Justice League supersede their failings according to the people. Thus, Superman returns to the podium and states,
Maybe we could open an embassy on Earth so we can be closer to the people.
Superman acknowledges and accepts the achievements of the Justice League as a way to focus on a future where heroes can better bring out the goodness within everyone, including himself.
When Superman's hope can lead by example, we can start rising to the occasion. As conflict emerges, the character that brings truth to the center becomes a member of shared humanity. And I believe that the essence of hope is about shared humanity. When the world becomes even more divisive, our hope defeats, conquers, provides, cares, and creates a mission we should all believe in. This ever-growing passion for good, the freedom to make a life worth living, worth spending, worth being, Superman brings us this worldview. Those passionate temptations, ready to start a fire only to protect those who need his warmth.
And on my soul, I swear that until my dream of a world where dignity, honor, and justice are the reality we all share, I'll never stop fighting.
Inspiration isn't built by force, but by change. Superman believes in action as a form of relief. The love he was raised in allowed him to believe in the calm, embracing power of determination. He believes that every single person deserves to live in a world where a sunset bows down to a forgiving cornfield, a moment where his actions made a difference because he was part of a simpler culture. Hope is about the belief to take action in any way we can. Superman may have his superpowers, but it's the man who brings home the message we can learn, even when the elite take control with a sense of order and completion. His character is never wired to harm, but to dream, to continue fighting for the common justice of humanity, this shared community with an ever-loving passion to embrace the simplicity of goodness. And the feeling we can get of a hero's love for change can lift anyone's spirit, preaching to a crowd that only gets more super.
Wait! Who are you?
And there's one thing I do know, son, and that is you are here for a reason.
A friend.